Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Fringlish here with Forgotten Games with your Commander of the Week. Today we'll be looking at Russel, the free-to-play cavalry tank. Not a lot is known about Russel, but the few facts we do have give an image of a bloody and sordid past. The actual events that led to Russel leaving his quiet, simple life and joining the brave companions are a mystery, but whatever his reasons, he is a fierce fighter who kills for profit, and others think twice about crossing him. This is especially true due to the troop that he joined. The brave companions, led by Vargo Hoat, a tall, gaunt, lisping man from Cahors, and the band is often called the Bloody Murmurs by the Westerosi for its members' brutality and outlandish appearances. Although they find this name insulting, they are also called the Footmen for Vargo's practice of cutting off the hands and feet of the prisoners, and the toes of the goat for their standard. Their standard is a black goat with bloody horns, symbolising the Black Goat of Cahors. The Black Goat itself is the deity of Cahors that demands daily blood sacrifices. In times of danger and crisis, even the nobles of the city will offer their children to placate the Black Goat, although in Braavos the Black Goat is seen as only one facade of the stranger. According to semi-canon sources, the Brave Companions are not as old as other mercenary companies, and were established before Vargo Hoat became their leader. Their numbers consist of the scum of the west and a few from the east and south. Their previous leader was likely not a Cahoric, and their next might possibly be a Lyseni, Dornishman, or even Ibanese. Their diverse ranks are said to include coppermen, lancers astride black and white horses, bowmen with powdered cheeks, squat hairy men with shaggy shields, brown-skinned men in feather cloaks, swordsmen with fantastic forked beards dyed green, purple, and silver, spearmen with coloured scars at the end of their cheeks, Moorish crossbowmen, pale Lyseni, and dark Dornishmen. That being said, Russel looks fairly normal compared to most of them. In the books, the Brave Companions are employed by Lord Tywin Lannister and let loose upon the Riverlands to burn and pillage in an attempt to draw out and capture Robb Stark. Lord Tywin brought the Brave Companions to Westeros during the War of the Five Kings to forage and terrify the lands of his enemies. They are ordered to fortify Harrenhal in Tywin's absence, and were later joined by O'Rourke, Biter, and Jaqen H'ghar on the way. Distinct members include Shagwell the Fool, Septinute, and Qyburn. During their stay at Harrenhal, Vargo's men quarrel with Sir Armory Lorch Garrison, causing both to be reprimanded by Tywin on the night they arrive. After Tywin leaves Harrenhal, Vargo secretly aligns with Lord Roose Bolton in support of Robb Stark, King in the North. The Brave Companions bring Northmen, led by Robert Glover and Sir Ennis Frey, into Harrenhal as prisoners with the intention of freeing them to attack Armory's garrison from the inside. Separately, Jaqen, Rourke, and Biter help Arya Stark free the northern prisoners within the keep. With the Northmen freed early, the companions help slaughter the Lannister garrison and open the castle gates to Roose after the fall of Harrenhal. Vargo becomes Lord of Harrenhal for his services to the north, and Lord Bolton eventually tasks the Brave Companions with rooting out Lannister forces in the surrounding countryside. Vargo divides his men into 4 bands, giving smaller ones each to his trusted companions and lieutenants. He uses his past affiliation with Lord Tywin to fool the Lannister garrisons that are unaware of the betrayal, before seizing them and returning with bags of coins as well as baskets of heads. Later on, Vargo grows to suspect that his new Bolton allies will join the Lannisters. When Urswic's group captures Sir Jaime Lannister, Vargo has Zolo chop off Jaime's sword hand to drive a wedge between Tywin and Roose. Qyburn later treats Jaime's stump. The ploy to drive a wedge between Tywin and Roose does not work, however, and Roose soon abandons Harrenhal and leaves it for Vargo. While attempting to rape the imprisoned Brienne of Tarth in Harrenhal, Vargo's ear is bitten off and the wound becomes infected. With Lannister reprisal looming and Vargo slowly maddening from a fever, most of the companions desert the group. This is probably when Russel left, and by the time Gregor Clegane retakes Harrenhal and kills Vargo, the band has dissolved into many smaller groups all around the Riverlands. The only member of the Brave Companions that is relevant later on in the story is Qyburn, who rises to the position of Master of Whispers for Queen Cersei Lannister, and is allowed to continue his experiments with people Cersei wants rid of. The only other notable thing we know about Russel is his attire. Russel wears the attire of a Kingsguard. Now, the Kingsguard is an elite group of 7 knights, supposedly the greatest and most skilled warriors in all of Westeros, who serve as the royal bodyguard for the King of the Andals and the First Men. Their duty is to protect the king and the royal family from harm at all times. The King's Guard swear by the most holy of vows to fulfill their sacred duty, and in theory are meant to be living examples of the pinnacle of knightly virtues. Like the Brothers of the Night Watch, members of the King's Guard are sworn for life, and are forbidden for owning land, taking wives, or fathering children. The King's Guard wear signature white cloaks and gold armour, which we can see Russel wearing. For this reason they are sometimes called the White Cloaks. Some notable members of the King's Guard include names such as Gerald Hightower, Sir Barristan Selmy, or Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, often referenced as the best swordsman that has ever lived. The King's Guard has existed as an institution for nearly 300 years, so there are quite a few sets of armour out there, although it's unknown where Russel gets his own from. If we look at Russel's abilities, we see he's really a situational hero. His stone production is nice, but again not very useful, and the cavalry attack is very good for attacking armies, although due to the formations and different bonuses, he won't get much use in early game. He's a very good mid-game cavalry commander though. The problem comes in his third ability, being the building construction speed increased by 20%. That is a very nice bonus, especially for free-to-play players where it's difficult to get those bonuses early on. However, after the start of the game, the opportunity to build things diminish greatly, and therefore his value is greatly diminished. So he's rather useful in early game, and then mid-game as well for the cavalry attack. Russel's skills are centred around being a tank, as you might expect. His retaliation with cold features concealed a cold heart, which deals nearly just over 4,000 damage to the target and restores 500 health for 5 seconds. The lower the health, the better the effect. Means that he has a self-heal, which is quite unusual for tanks, but again improves his use in the early game, where the self-heal means that you can drop having a healer in the back row for more damage. Then his surprise, where his unorthodox attacks keep opponents off balance, deal an additional 4,000 plus for every 9 attacks, reducing target strategy by 42 for 5 seconds. A target strategy is all due to their abilities, so he helps weaken other people's abilities, and that just in turn means he survives longer. The heavily armoured perk is one that we talked about before, the King's Guard, that provides him with impenetrable protection. Damage taken has a 15% chance of restoring over 3,000 health instead, so even more passive healing. And then finally the Battle Hardened ability adds nearly 200 to command, which increases his defense and health even more. One notable thing about Russel is he's focused on damage healing himself, is that his strategy is extremely low. Therefore, pairing with heroes that increase strategy, such as GOTWIC, boost her effects amazingly. With Genie's 150 strategy boost, he can heal over 5,000, nearly 6,000 damage each time his ability activates, making him extremely long-lasting tank. His defense is not the highest, but it is one of the highest in the game. Overall, he's a fairly important commander to have, especially early on for free-to-play players, never really falls out of use but becomes slightly situational towards the end. His main advantage is due to the construction bonus, but also due to the fact that you can use him to attack horses on the map, bandit leaders, and not have to pack Sansa or Marjorie as a healer in the second row, meaning you can increase your damage output by a lot overall. He drops off in utility towards the end, but is one of the heroes I would recommend getting to purple, if not gold, as soon as possible. I've been Fringlish, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please put down a like, it helps us a lot. Take care everyone and stay safe.